Frontier opening bell is looking this way, getting to the fourth trading day of the week started Thursday, the 13th of July. Hello, everyone. The market mixed a bit on Wednesday. And of course, you by now, if you're in the market, you know that the Nigerian stocks bucked a 5-day rally by 2.47%, nearly 2.5% on Wednesday, due to very strong profit booking on some of the biggest names on the trading board, the likes of Nestle, Dangote Cement, FBN Holdings down by 10%, Dangote Cement down by about 10% on the day that his new group managing director was unveiled and closed the trading day, that yesterday, and a few other big names, including Access Core. So the market pulled back 2.47%, at roughly 830 billion naira in one single day. This question is whether the market is now making a re-entry after that rocket roller coaster that we saw since the end of May until the moment. So that this the market really was in Lagos, 64,046. So the BRVM shifted just a few notches, about 14 basis points off the 203 composite index here on Wednesday. The Egyptian market was roughly flat. It's just about 6 basis points in the negative territory. Today is the final trading day for the week in Cairo, the start of the weekend. The Nairobi stock market up by 0.56%. The stock market in Kenya is defying Raila Odinga's call for twice a week rally and protest against the economic policies of the William Ruto's administration. Now the stock market is beginning to say, look, we want to move on. You folks with politics, you got to deal with it. So the stock market, the Nairobi stock market, is now trying to distance itself away from the political hotwire between Raila Odinga, former Prime Minister, and who was a contender again at the last presidential elections, in which William Ruto was declared the president, succeeding Uhuru Kenyatta. The South African stock market was a very big show, 2.23%, 76,544, with the rand looking a little bit good as we speak, because the US dollar was a bit soft. And again, US inflation came in at least lower than expected, in negative 33, but positive by 3% for the quarter on the review. US inflation, US inflation came in at about 3%. That's for the month of June. Core inflation was reported at about 4%. Those numbers came in on Wednesday. Let's put the market aside and then go into some big economic business and investment news. This Thursday, with Kenya signing 5 memorandum of understanding yesterday with Iranian President Raisi, who's visited 3 African countries, is moving on to Uganda today, and of course he will also touch down in Zimbabwe. That will be the 3-nation tour of Africa that the Iranian president is making. In the meantime, the Kenyan president has pulled back that 30%, or Kenya has pulled back from that 30% order that was given to Airtel and a few other tech giants to ensure that 30% of their shares are held by Kenyans. That order has now been reversed, giving Airtel Kenya and others a bit of a breathing space, by the way. And Scan Group says he surrendered about 27 million shillings worth of unclaimed dividend to the state agency, who's now collecting those unclaimed dividends. And the BV Mark in Central Africa has increased its share capital from 7 to 9 billion Central Africa CFA franc. And Umeme is reporting, listed on the Nairobi Bourse, 20% dividend yield, is reclaiming the Nairobi Stock Exchange's highest paying counter after the books are formally closed. That's the corporate news, by the way, from Umeme on the Nairobi Bourse. Okay, I'm taking that straight to West Africa and Nigeria, with the Central Bank of Nigeria making another announcement yesterday that diaspora remittances could now be collected not just in foreign currency, but also in the local unit, which is the Naira. The idea is to allow the international money transfer organizations or IMTOs to be part of a wider new forex market horizon that Nigeria is pursuing, looking to converge all existing exchange rates in the country. But good news also because Ethiopia and Nigeria have signed a $100 million fund swap agreement, while the NNPC, the state-owned oil company, says it will ask OPEC to review its quota when it meets again in November. The idea is to increase the country's production quota by between 20,000 barrels per day and 30,000 barrels per day between now and November, then go to the group's meeting in November to ask for a review to renegotiate the country's quota. The current administration wants to raise oil production strongly and be able to generate more revenue from the current oil prices trading, holding it around $80 a barrel. That's the London Brent crude early today. The US West Texas Intermediate is also trading at the high end of the 70s as early as Thursday is concerned. Nigeria yesterday announced the redemption of $500 million Eurobond, which was issued back in July 2013. That Eurobond matured yesterday and was fully repaid to international creditors. And that's some good news for Nigeria. In the meantime, Ghana's $1.9 billion, roughly $2 billion oil refinery is expected to start producing in the month of August. That's next month. The outlook is about 5 million liters per year. And that's what the refinery is proposed to be his output. We'll keep an eye on that development. Cameroon says it sold about 49 billion CFA franc in treasury bonds by raising the yield on those treasuries to about 5%. That attracted a lot more investors, by the way. Make it more juicy. Let's check in with Southern Africa. Of course, the South Africa's Reserve Bank Governor, Leseja Kyagulanyi, has been speaking about the state of the economy. He spoke in Soweto just about a week ago. Then 2 days ago, he was at the 2023 Michelle Cambiso's annual lecture in Washington, where he had a fireside chat with the current managing director of the IMF, Kristalina Georgieva. But the news out this morning was that the South Africa's Reserve Bank is likely to hold interest rate at its next meeting because inflation is getting softer in Africa's most advanced economy. But there are a whole lot of other issues to consider by the 5-member SARB committee when it meets next month. That's a very key meeting to watch. And the deal for exclusivity of leaseholds agreements by ShopRite and Pick n Pay has been asked to be suspended or be reviewed no later than December of 2026. And good news for Botswana Stock Exchange, reporting 4.2% growth in the first half of the year, January to June. Botswana Stock Exchange became a full member of the World Federation of Exchanges just a couple of weeks ago. Lafarge Cement in Zimbabwe, which is listed on the exchange, says it's changing its trade name to Kaya Cement. What's in the name? Whatever it is. Bring it on. And Gold Standard has says it's paused issuance of carbon credit from Zimbabwe, despite those announcements made just a few days ago by former U.S. President Jacob Zuma regarding Zimbabwe's quest to get a whole lot more from the carbon credit market. It's about $20 billion US globally speaking, by the way. And Campaigner says they want holders of $3 billion of Zambia's Eurobonds to take haircut of about 5% roughly in a new deal that Zambia is looking at. Zambia secured a deal with Western creditors and China worth about $6 billion a few weeks ago. Now, the Kasson Campaigner says they want the private creditors to also take a haircut of about 5%. That's quite something to ask for. But again, let's never say never. So let's look at it. Then you've got to move on to North Africa, where it all started. Inflation is looking to plunge below 2% in 2024 because Morocco's economy is rebounding. And a Predator says it's completed the drilling operations for MOU 4 well in onshore Morocco. And in Egypt, the country says it's raised about $1.9 billion, roughly $2 billion from its asset monetization program to support the country's FX reserves and support as well as the private sector. Report says the Prime Minister of Egypt is looking at additional $1 billion in the near term from this asset monetization exercise. And finally, the National Bank of Egypt has partnered with InstaPay to boost the country's digital money transfer network. And those are your headlines at this time. I am Bruce Sinamafa. Have a great day. It's a Thursday, and we thank you very much for watching. I'll see you soon.